Right, thanks to Hot Click Marketing for supporting this video. For more information, go to their website.
Football will return. City will play Arsenal as one of the opening games on June the 17th. It had been coming for a while. The games will be played behind closed doors until the conclusion of the season. Obviously, from a personal point of view, as a match-going fan, it will break my heart not to be at the games. I make no bones about that. But what I think about it and how I feel is sort of irrelevant, really, because I'm just one fan like anybody else. So I've got a collection of the Forever Blue regulars from our podcast, because clearly I can't get out there and talk to fans in the street. And I've been talking to a few to get their reaction to the news today. So let's see what they've got to say.
No, I'm not excited at all. I can't get excited about it, primarily because of the dangers that we still don't know are out there. You know, it's almost like this is a test. They're using our beautiful game as a test subject, and I don't like it, and I don't agree with it. And you know what's going to happen if some of the players do start coming down with it? And are they going to shut it down again? You know, are they going to carry on regardless? And just at that point, do they then not disqualify, but not let a team play? You know, if somebody on a certain team contracts it, a game's going to still be being called off left, right and centre. You know, there's a whole can of worms about to be opened here. And it's, you know, it's the health side of things are still very concerning for me, because it's not only about players getting it or about their families getting it or their children or whatever. It's continuing. It's you know, did you see that advert that had that all the matchsticks on fire? You know, one of the matchsticks stepped back and it stopped the rest of the line catching fire. It's putting that matchstick back into that line.
Part of me is sort of excited that I can watch my team play football again. The other side of me is very apprehensive about the fact that I can't be in the stadium to watch it. I can't go and watch it live. I don't quite like that. But there's another part of me that's like, you know, is there any choice in the matter right now? You could argue they should wait until fans are allowed in the ground. I don't know if that's realistic, because I don't know when that day might be. Could be January, February of next year before fans are allowed in. On that basis, I don't think it makes sense to wait until every fan is allowed in. So I sort of see a lot of different sides of it, and I understand them. It's tricky to pinpoint exactly for me what is the right course of action, but yeah, there's a bit of happiness and a bit of apprehension at the same time, I think.
I'm happy that football's returning, and that doesn't mean to say that I'm not empathetic or that I'm dismissive of people that we've lost to the virus, and that I'm not empathetic to the families of those who we've lost. I think contextually, you've got to look at it as two separate things and say that I'm excited to see football back, and yes, I'm annoyed that I'm not going to be able to go to the Etihad and watch it, or go to an away ground if I wanted to and watch it. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that because I'm excited that I don't care about those people that we've lost, and that I'm not aware that we've lost a lot of lives to this horrible virus.
My initial reaction was the 17th of June. It just feels too early. I mean, I'm the company I work for. I've been furloughed, and we're not expected to be back working until at least the start of July. So to think that not only are players sort of congregating in training rooms at their own private training grounds, but then going into the pitches, and as you've seen in the Bundesliga, you can't socially distance on a football pitch no matter how hard you try. It just feels a little bit too early for me, especially considering the fact that the virus is still going ahead in England. The virus hasn't slowed down. The virus hasn't, some lockdown measures have been lifted, but I don't know.
This has been coming for the commercial reasons. We talked about that back on the podcast months ago. And so that's not a surprise. There's obviously some reservations, but now we've seen at least one other league start up. It's almost like it's accepted as okay now. As far as the Bundesliga is concerned, I did watch the Bayern Munich Borussia Dortmund game the other night, and the quality of the football was good, but obviously it lacked so many things. I think particularly one incident where there was a clear handball for a penalty, and of course playing at home, they would normally have the home crowd shouting for it, but there was no one to do that. So definitely crowds influence decisions on the pitch. We know that. So there's the first thing I noticed really as being different. I don't know. I think I'll have to see how I feel about it when my own team's playing. But clearly, as a match-going fan, I don't normally sit in front of the telly and watch City. So that'll be different on its own merits, whether there's a crowd there or not.
I mean, I wonder whether in the days you were a player, whether you would have wanted to play A, behind closed doors, and B, while this pandemic was happening, or are you just glad that football's back?
No, I'm not glad it's back in. I don't think it's a good thing at all with this pandemic going about at the moment. I fear that there's going to be a death in football, and what happens then? I mean, what are the own body? There's got to be. So, in my opinion, if it was me just now, I'd be saying no. I'd be like Troy Deeney down in Watford. He's saying no, absolutely no way. Magging back at this moment in time. I don't think it's safe enough yet. And especially behind closed doors, there's no atmosphere. I know the Bundesliga went back the other week there, and people are saying me to go and watch that, and I couldn't even watch it on television. It's just, you need the atmosphere, you need the passion of the fans. We should just do this lockdown, however long it takes. I mean, it's an important thing in everybody's life is football, but is it that important that you're going to lose your life through it? I don't think so.
If I was a player, I wouldn't want to be playing either. You've got enough money. I mean, unless you're pretty tight in terms of paying your big house's mortgage and things like that, then you've probably got a bit saved up you can do without being paid even for a while and going without it on that ground. So I think it's harsh, but I don't think they're being forced back. I think if all the players were to decide together, you know, the PFA was to decide and all the players were to come together saying we don't want to play, then it wouldn't go ahead. So clearly, the majority, I know Troy Deeney's been really outspoken about it, about not wanting to come back, but clearly the players, there's some sort of drive in them to go and carry on playing. So yes, I do have sympathy for the minority that don't want to, but clearly there's a majority that does, unless they feel like they're being forced to, in which case that's wrong. I don't think they should be forced to play. And no one should be forced to go to the job.
Part of me, and this might sound like blasphemy, part of me wouldn't be absolutely devastated to see City get knocked out of the Champions League this year in the current, if we're playing behind closed doors, because I'd hate for us to kind of win it in an empty stadium. So on that side of things, I'd be gutted if, in 30 years' time, we've won one European Cup, let's say it doesn't happen, but let's say we won it this season. And, someone says to me, what was it like? And I go, it was actually the year that no one could go. And I just think it taints it in the same sense that from a non-City perspective, Liverpool fans, regardless of what happens now, their title is going to be tainted. And I'm not saying that in an insulting way. I'm not having a go at Liverpool. I'm not trying to poke fun at them because City could well be in the same boat with an FA Cup or a Champions League. But regardless of how we look at it, it is going to be less sweet than it would be if they were at Anfield to win it or whatever. So I think on that front, from a personal perspective, I know that if we got to the Champions League final, I'd go to Istanbul. I know that if we got to the FA Cup final, I'd be at Wembley. The semis, I'd be at Wembley. So in that sense, that goes back to that kind of feeling of being robbed of those experiences a little bit, I think.
I understand where he's coming from, but for me, in the history books, a trophy is a trophy. And I think it won't have... Everyone talks about an asterisk. There won't be an asterisk, literally, in the history books. And for me, I'd be quite happy to just get our name on the Champions League. I'll celebrate it regardless. I understand that it will be tainted in other people's eyes. The Premier League will be tainted in some people's eyes. But when have we really cared what other people have thought about it? I understand why, from our point of view, it might be tainted because we can't be there to see it and win it. But that's the situation we're in, and we'd rather win it and not celebrate as intensely as we would have done, or rather than just not win it at all. It's still better than nothing in my eyes. I would rather win it, and I think it's a real shame that the season that we could have had seems to have been snatched from beneath us, because we could have won the Champions League outright, we could have won the FA Cup outright without this. and we already won the League Cup. And it would have been, again, an incredible season, 3 incredible record-breaking seasons in a row. And we've sort of been robbed that. So I'd like to get at least some of that back. And if we could win those trophies, then that would still be, even though it would be tainted, it'd still be better than winning none of them at all.
Well, if typical City's real, you know what the outcome of the Champions League's going to be, don't you? You know, that would be just irony on stilts, wouldn't it, if they were actually to get to the final at least, or even win it. But yeah, there's a lot of good teams still in that competition. Just because we're, you know, effectively 1-0 up against Real Madrid with an away goal and Ramos banned doesn't mean it's a certainty. So players, of course, from both teams who were injured in that competition will be back and fit, hopefully. We'll have to see. Now, the idea of not being there is, I could, you know, Wembley, I could stomach, but Istanbul, that would be hard, I have to say. Yeah, I would rather we got knocked out.
We've talked about quite a few times with you on these podcasts about, you know, May 2012 and what that meant to everybody and what that meant to City fans. And we are not going to be talking about winning the Champions League in the same vein, in the same sentence whatsoever. And you are right. I mean, rivalry aside, I feel very sad and very sorry for Liverpool fans, for them to have waited all these years as well. And they are on the cusp of winning this championship, which means so much, no matter how many times you win it. You know, ask a United fan right now, doesn't matter how many times they've won it, they would have it again tomorrow. And, you know, to have that magic stolen, doesn't matter that there's a title or a trophy in the cabinet. I don't think, you know, anyone looking at that trophy would think, where are my memories? Where are my feelings? Where is the euphoria? Where is the celebrating with my mates in the pub or jumping up and down on people's heads at the stadium, you know? And they're being denied that, and they're being robbed of that. And that is something that, you know, banter to one side, that is something that will never pass my lips. That would be something I will never revel in against a Liverpool fan. I would never take pleasure in laughing at them for them winning and them not being able to celebrate. I think it's very cruel and it's very bittersweet. You know, we had that moment and we've had moments since 2012, and I feel very sad and very sorry that it has to go down this way. And I'm just sorry that they just seem to be in such a rush to get this done, you know, and to not do it the proper way. They kept talking about integrity of the game. Well, where is the integrity when you're winning? I mean, the championships, the premierships are dead cert, you know, pretty much for Liverpool. Where is the integrity in them winning it the way it's going to be won?
Big shout out to the 3 companies that have supported the products that I put out under the Forever Blue title throughout the year, the podcast and the vlogs. See you all soon.